ahead, applaud, please. Please. Somewhere Peter Gabriel is silently weeping tears of joy.
We are live. What's up, everybody? Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. We appreciate everybody who's watching. We're gonna kind of go into Thanksgiving a little bit and talk about some other stuff that's going on that's been heavy in the spirit right now. But you are watching Young Lion TV.
Young lion, everywhere I look, they dying. Everywhere I look, they dying. Young lion, everywhere I look, they dying. Everywhere I look, they dying. Young lion, won't you get up and stop fighting? Everywhere I look, they're hiding. Young lion.
Yeah. Young Lion TV, Tuesday night. We're here. We're live at True Sound Studios. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving coming up really soon. I got Moan with me, sitting next to me. We got Jake. Hello. And in the fourth seat this evening.
What? Can't see her eyes.
Can't see. She's giving us the shade. The shades. The shades.
Can't see your eyes.
I wear my sunglasses at night. No, those are prescription though, right?
They are prescription.
Yeah. We got
they're specifically like not too dark so that I can wear them inside for when I don't want my whole government face out here.
Right.
I thought she was trying to be like the kid from Big Daddy, or was it? Yeah, Big Daddy.
What?
He's like he's invisible with the shades on.
Oh yeah,
that's me too.
They don't see me right now. Yeah, but we got Rachel sitting in fourth seat tonight because we're missing our brothers Stan and James, and but we appreciate you jumping in there.
Yeah, first time.
Yeah.
Wait, actually, no,
second
time.
She sat in the podcast before.
She did a couple times, right?
I think
or only one.
The one time she was being interviewed.
Yeah.
The one time we did the actual interview, and then the other time you jumped in.
Yeah, you always hit me with them questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We always do that.
Okay.
I know my mom was like, I'm never coming back on there again.
Hey, man, you got to go deep.
You got to go deep,
and
man.
that's what we're talking about.
That's what we're going to talk about today, man. Going deep. Do we ever not talk about going deep?
It's the only way you can get to the root of a thing anyway.
That's true. That's true. The root. We're going to talk about some...
We're talking about
some roots. Speaking of roots. But no, also we got John holding it down, doing all the production by himself today.
What's up?
Yo. How's it feel over there?
It's fine. It's like a nice little cubby hole.
Yeah, you got all the equipment in front of you. You looking like a boss over there, man.
Got room without me over there. You can stretch out a little bit.
Yeah, got a little bit more room. Kind of nice. Stay over there, please.
We're gonna get a camera on you soon, though.
That's fine.
Okay, that's what you say now.
So Ariana said, "Can I get a shout out?" So shout out.
What's up, Ariana?
Shout out to Ariana.
We love you.
We love you, Ariana. And
we miss you, man.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
We haven't been able to do any shows. I have seen people saying like, they want to see us at the winery. I know Carter's dad just posted that video of us doing In Your Eyes at the winery. Okay. Sounded pretty good too. Yeah. And he was just saying he can't wait till he can come see us again. It's crazy not doing any shows, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But listen, anybody who's watching right now, please share this video, hit the like button, and, let people know that it's happening live and they can join in on the conversation. There's going to be some serious stuff talked about tonight. And if you have anything you want to chime in about, just put it in the chat. If you want to drop any information in there or ask any questions, just feel free to put it in there. We're probably going to do some music later. Thinking about that. Rachel can join in. That look.
Sing harmonies.
But yeah, so let's start getting into a little bit of what you wanted to talk about. Now, I haven't gone through any of the stuff you sent.
Do you want to talk about Thanksgiving? Or?
Let's start with Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's coming up. Okay. There's a lot of controversy about how you're supposed to do it this year.
Yeah.
Because of
10 people or less.
Because some places it's less than that, right? Some states.
Yeah. Some
states they're saying don't have anyone outside of your immediate family.
Right.
If you do, you have to wear a mask.
I just saw the governor of Oregon saying that if you see your neighbors having more than what they're supposed to more people than what they're supposed to have report them.
Bro, what happened to snitches get stitches around here, man?
Snitch on your
I
neighbors.
thought they don't believe in the police system out there. Who are you going to report
Defund
to?
the police.
Yeah.
Who you supposed to report to? Like, they're the main ones talk about defund the police, but now they won't call
That's
the police.
not all of Oregon, but
That's true.
But regardless, it's like it's the opposite of love. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's putting like literally it's putting a pressure on people, and it's illegal. You can't.
Right.
You
Well, it's unconstitutional.
It's
Unconstitutional.
unconstitutional. Yeah.
Right.
It should be illegal.
Right. That's the funny thing to me about it is like they've been screaming at us since 2016 about how like we're about to be under a dictator. We're about to have all this like everyone's going to be, under this fascism. And it's like they're literally implementing all of the fascist tactics
Right.
on the other side.
But
Like
it's for your safety.
yeah, it's right,
Yeah.
right. But isn't that how they always veil it though? Like it's for your own good. You need to tell us if people are not following the rules we told them to follow. It's for your own good. Like we're helping you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they're scaring people. Like I talked to a dude today. He was like, "Yeah, we usually go to my mother-in-law's house for Thanksgiving, but I work and she works, and it's not even worth it. Getting them sick." So
Yeah.
he's in fear.
Yeah.
of that.
Did you see that clip of Cuomo talking about how? Remember that clip I sent to y'all? Did you see that?
No. I
Let me
didn't
play
see
it because he
pull it up.
he talks he it's a manipulation tactic that he's using where he talks about how his daughter is not going to come see him because she loves him. So I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick. Y'all don't never watch the stuff I send y'all. Man. I tell you, boy.
I watched it.
I'm sorry.
Simone's working. It's harder for him.
This guy always asks me, I'm like, nah, I didn't see it.
Yeah. I'm like, just wasting my time with y'all. It's all right. I'll send it to somebody who loves me.
That doesn't mean I don't love you. Damn.
All right. I think we need more volume over there, John. On the last channel there.
This year. Please think about thinking
Turn the
about
volume up.
Thanksgiving differently this year, because it has to be a different Thanksgiving. We can't have. You look at that current rate of increase. You're going to 6,000 cases in 3 weeks. You can't have an accelerant on that number. You really have to reduce that number. This is not a normal Thanksgiving. It's a better than normal Thanksgiving. It's a deeper Thanksgiving. It's a more meaningful Thanksgiving. Mariah loves me so much, she's not coming to celebrate Thanksgiving with me. That's how much she loves me. We have to get our head there. Thank you, guys. Please think.
I'm watching the dude that's sign languaging more than Cuomo.
But
He's
you
like,
see what he's saying? Like, we have to all get our head there where we believe that this is all for our own good.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a deeper.
it's a
deeper
better meaning.
it's better.
But it's like the inversion of like, because we were talking about this earlier, how like, if you love somebody, you should be afraid of what could happen to them.
Right.
We should be in fear, and it's like the opposite of what the Bible says.
Right, right.
Bible says that perfect love casts out all fear.
right.
So like the love of God actually takes away the fear.
Right.
And
But that's an easy sell for people where it's like, aren't you afraid you're going to kill your loved ones? Like,
right. But my point, that's my point. Like it's the fear that, not to say that people can't get it, and because people are getting it, but
Right.
it's the fear that feeds it.
Right, because we were talking about this earlier. Like, yeah, people are getting it.
Yeah. My wife's family, her sisters got it.
Yeah.
Or at least in the household. So like they're all quarantined. Every last one of her sisters are quarantined right now. But nobody's dying. Nobody's like maybe one of them is like kind of sick.
Yeah, yeah.
Her friend. Like a lot of people have it.
Yeah.
Or somebody in the house has it. So they're all quarantined.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of memes going around talking about like, oh, it's the scariest disease we've ever had. It's so scary. You have to get tested to even know you have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's what Chuck said all the time.
That's what he says. Yeah, because it's like most people don't even know. Like they're saying that over 40% of people who have it don't even never know they have it or feel no symptoms. You know what I mean?
And even if like you got to cut down even more, because then a lot of people who have symptoms are like, they don't smell anything.
Right.
Like it's the basic. You know what I mean? Like it's not even.
It's
that
not
serious.
like
you can't taste
this idea that we should be in so much fear of this thing. Like, yeah, it's a real sickness. People are catching it, but it's like to be in such fear where we're taking such drastic measures where it's like tell on your neighbors if they have too many. Like, don't have people in your house. Wear a mask. It's like it doesn't equate.
Yeah,
it doesn't equate. You know.
Shout out to Paul Horner.
What's up, Paul?
He said, Cuomo like the Grinch. I just saw the Grinch, and I was thinking about that, like, just in context of, like, how he's so mad he steals all the presents, right?
Yeah.
But then the people don't even care. It's not about the presents,
Right.
and they're singing, and then
that
it
changes his heart, right?
So it's just funny.
I saw a meme about that, too, about Gretchen Whitmer. They had her, like, turned her into the Grinch and called it the Gretch who stole Christmas. It was funny.
I saw another one about that too.
Yeah.
Not about that, but like talking about the dog. They're like, if everything was like throwing out presents, then the dog was a thrown out present.
Oh yeah.
Someone threw a dang dog away.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. I never thought about that. But yeah, then there's another. Oh, by the way, you know Cuomo is getting an Emmy for those press conferences.
I heard about that.
Yeah, I heard about it from you.
I still don't get it.
You know, this
it's
is what
TV.
I like it. I'm actually glad about it. This is how I feel about it, because to me, it's like when people see that,
It shows how stupid it is.
it shows how meaningless and dumb and how ridiculous it is. And if you still are someone who's like, gotta watch the Emmys matter, you know what I mean? Then you just want to be blinded. Like you have to be able to see, like, what? He's getting an Emmy for that?
I've gone and watched like certain performances from, the shows that they're all doing virtually, like all the award shows. And on YouTube, the top comment is always, I've stopped watching these shows.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, we're here now,
Right.
still on YouTube. But at the same time, people aren't tuning in for like, oh, this thing, and it's 2 hours, and
Right.
I care so much. Like,
Biggest event on TV.
nah, yeah.
That's just what the commercial says. Like,
Right.
no one is watching it anymore. But then there was another press conference. I don't even feel like looking for it, but the gist was he was just saying how New York has turned a corner because people were in such fear of catching the disease. You know what I mean? He was basically bragging about, like,
Bigging up the fear.
We did such a good job of putting people in fear that we didn't have to police them. They policed themselves. You know what I mean? They put on masks. They socially distanced. They were afraid to be around each other, and it's like they're giving you the playbook, saying like, this is how we control you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
God didn't give you a spirit of fear, but a sound mind.
Right.
Yeah, so all of that to say, happy Thanksgiving.
All that to say, are you guys preparing for your Thanksgiving?
I just brined my turkey before I came here.
So did I.
I started my brine last night.
Okay, that's a long round.
Yeah, I'm gonna let that thing soak.
Yo, I did what is it called? Buttermilk.
Oh, because I told you that's what I did last year.
Oh, you did tell me that, but I just
Why is Mom calling me?
I just
Hold
saw
on.
I saw it.
Let me
Answer.
Let me answer.
Put her on speaker.
Yeah. Hold on.
That's a long answer.
Mom.
Oh my God, I forgot you were doing the thing.
Yeah, what day is it and what time is it right now?
Yeah, sorry, bye.
No, what did you want?
what's up?
She hung up. Yeah.
What was I gonna say?
She's probably calling me. to ask
Buttermilk
me-
in the brine.
Remember I put buttermilk
forgot.
in the brine?
I saw it.
You just
I was
put-
looking up a brine. And
You
I
just
saw
put buttermilk in there?
Yeah.
No, not just.
Yeah, not just buttermilk, but buttermilk mixed in with the brine, especially if you're going to fry it. Are you frying yours?
I'm not frying.
Okay. But if you fry it, I forgot that. I'm going to grab some buttermilk and add it to my brine because I forgot about that.
I might go put some buttermilk just to try it out.
Because it actually tenderizes the meat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I did it.
Yeah.
I was looking that up. Yeah, so I did the brine today. It's so funny. Speaking of mom, she gave me the turkey. She had an extra turkey. So
Yeah.
she's like, I'm staying home with family. And she's like, it's 19 pounds. And I'm like, she was like, it's not that big. It's 19 pounds.
That's
like,
huge.
That's a big
That's
turkey.
huge
Yeah.
for.
But then I looked at it. It's 13 pounds.
13 pounds. Oh, yeah.
That's still big
baby.
enough though.
That's
No,
a baby
it's
turkey.
big enough for us.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, just y'all.
yeah.
Yeah, I got a 20-pounder. I'm gonna fry that
My
whole
turkey
thing.
pretty big too.
Yeah. How you making yours?
I just brined it and I'm just roasting it with a bag.
Okay. Yeah, you like the bag thing. I like frying it, man.
I like frying it because I like the skin, but
Yeah.
I like the bag more.
Yeah. What
The
about
bag
you?
is tender.
What's your plans?
My parents aren't like big on Thanksgiving. If anything, I would like run over and see them. But they're like, let's make some food like we normally would any other day. Like I remember being like 5 and my mom was like, I'm not cooking turkeys all day. And my dad was like, okay. And then that was Thanksgiving.
That
You know
was
what I'm
it.
saying? Like
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is like we have dinner.
So your parents are just like not about it.
They
Just
don't
make
care.
it
If
Italian
there's-
food.
You know, like or whatever. Like they're all on their health kicks. As my dad has gotten older, he's like my heart's and my blood pressure and all the things. So he
Yeah.
makes like a lot of like salmon and rice and things like that.
Okay.
And then if some kind of football is on, they'll watch football. But I did see the other day, I have a new chick that I follow on YouTube she has a cooking channel and she's super cool. She looks into like all kinds of weird recipes and stuff from like the Depression, and she tries all kinds of different stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So she made this thing called Beggar's Chicken. Have you heard of
Beggars
Never
chicken.
heard of it.
Never
and
heard
it's
of it.
apparently
You
rooted
Jamie on it.
in I don't know if it's specifically China, but there's a whole like tale that goes along with it. This beggar stole a chicken. He was making it. People were coming after him. He had to throw the chicken in the mud. Later, he takes the chicken out of the mud, puts it in the fire, and starts cooking it. And the emperor is walking past and is like, yo, something smells really good. Sits down and starts eating with him. And this is where like Beggar's Chicken started. So the whole idea today is that you take a chicken, wrap it in lotus leaves, marinate it first, wrap it in lotus leaves, and then cover it in clay, and then bake it. And as it bakes inside the clay, kind of like a little clay oven, all the like juice and the marinade and the tenderness stays inside, and the
Okay.
integrity of the chicken is really like tender and moist and beautiful and flavorful. But it's cool because like you go through this whole process, and then at the end you take it out of the oven after 3 hours and you crack open like the clay shell. So I don't know if I
It's a
can
lot
get
of
that.
work.
It is a lot of work. Absolutely.
That's exactly. I'm like, sounds cool, but
Right.
I'm not going through it.
It's interesting.
It is
I would try it
interesting.
one day.
I would.
yeah,
I
we'll
don't know
try
if
it.
I can get it together by Thursday, but if so, well, that would be on my list to do this week.
Now, is this just a stereotype that I've heard? But like for Christmas, do you guys do like the Feast of Seven Fishes and all that stuff?
My parents are real like. We're lazy. You know what I'm saying? They're like, what can we get from here and there, and what can we make ourselves, and let's make some food.
Right.
But yeah, when we would go over my uncles and stuff, like when I was younger, they were making all kinds of clams and all kinds of different
Yeah.
fish
Yeah,
and
yeah.
doing their whole thing.
Portuguese do that too.
Do they?
Yeah.
I think it's like a European Catholic kind of thing, right? Doesn't that come from
Maybe.
Catholicism? Feast of Seven Fishes.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
on,
if that's
man. You
specific.
come on,
I've always
historian.
known it to be like deeply Italian associated, but I don't know if it's like the Catholics are where they got it.
Feast,
Probably
Feast of
they're
Seven Fishes.
highly integrated.
Yeah.
It's a part of Italian American Christmas Eve celebration. Yeah, so it's from Italy.
And
So-
I wonder, like, when you go to Italy, like we have pizza and we have all this stuff that we do here, but when you go to Italy, they're like, that's not how you make pizza. That's not how you do
Yeah.
that. Like everything is different when you're actually there.
So it is from Catholicism.
Okay.
It's from
Yeah, because last year Nina's mom was talking about it.
Yeah, it's about abstaining from eating meat on the eve
Oh,
of a
yeah.
feast day. So you know,
Emma, what's up, Emma?
it's
What up,
based
Emma?
on some pagan stuff. You know,
So
you know how y'all Catholics do.
so where does pizza originate?
I don't know where it originates besides Italy.
Napoli.
But yeah,
Supposed to be like that region.
that sounds right.
Yeah.
See, that's why we asked you about Feast of Seven Fishes.
But it's supposed to be like like more flatbread and more like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not at all like what
What we know
Americans
as
have
pizza.
done
Yeah.
to pizza.
Yeah.
It's
What have
definitely
you done?
yeah. It's more like she said, like the smaller
Small,
versions of
yeah.
personal type pizza.
Yeah.
With
things.
just like
So-
some tomato sauce, some garlic, some
Yeah,
basil.
yeah.
That's it.
And it
There's
was-
maybe a little bit of mozzarella that you
Yeah,
get
like
that
a
you
little-
that you milked from the cow. You know, what I
and it
mean?
was more like because I know even in Spain, like they do like you'll put that out, then you'll put something else out, and it's like
It's part of a
it's
full meal.
process
Yeah, yeah.
of a meal that's
Yeah.
like it's like a celebration.
That's where
type
tapas
thing.
come from. It's like
Right.
yeah,
Small,
food just
yeah.
keeps
Small
coming out.
cakes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's kind
Tapas
of like,
are like the Chinese dim sum.
it's kind, but
There
it's
you
kind
go.
of like speaking of Chinese. I was just going to say it's kind of like General Tissot.
General Tissot.
You know, I saw a whole documentary. Did anybody ever see this where this dude like went to China to search for General Tso?
I think, yeah.
He
I
was
didn't
like,
watch it, but I heard about it, though.
He was like on a mission to find like who is this general?
Did he find him?
No, it's
fake.
It's fake.
It's not
It's
real.
Americanized.
no, but
It's
they do have like this legend behind the dish. You know what I mean? Of like where it comes from, where it originates from. But what they made in America, the version of it is totally just like something they never would eat. You know,
Yeah.
Like, most of the Chinese Americanized food. That's what the whole documentary goes into. Is like the Chinese back during when they developed a whole like organization to help Chinese immigrants come in and migrate here and establish themselves. So they started like setting up restaurants for people, but they had to develop a cuisine that Americans would, eat more. You know, they were way more picky back then. It wasn't like today where everybody's a hipster and wants to know what everything.
Fish eyeballs, yeah, give it to me.
Right. Like
I mean, our stepdad was Irish, and the stuff that it's very bland.
Yo.
It's more.
I just put John onto because we're on the way here. We were talking about food. He was talking about his dad, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I just remember my dad's macaroni and cheese. Like everyone would say, it was so amazing, but I really didn't like it that much." And I was like, "That's because he put stewed tomatoes in it from the can." And then I told him that our macaroni and cheese recipe stems from his.
Yeah, yep.
And then we just tweaked it, took
Yep.
out the tomatoes, and tweaked it.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't remember the tomatoes until you said the tomatoes.
Yeah.
I remember these little pieces of tomatoes. I'm like, oh.
Tomatoes and macaroni
Because
and cheese.
I remember eating, and I'm like, man, this would be good without the tomatoes.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's make.
Let's try
Why
it without
people
the
be doing too much to their mac and cheese? Like
Tomatoes? Stewed tomatoes?
vegetables don't go in mac and cheese.
Yeah, that's just
It actually ain't that
tomatoes
bad,
is not
like-
a vegetable, John.
But you could
John.
do like less tomatoes, not definitely
People
not
throw
stewed,
peas up in there.
like a lighter like.
he wouldn't even chop them up. He
Yeah,
would just
I
dump
know.
them big ass
can,
stewed tomato
like,
in the
boom.
can and just dump it in there. So you get these big chunks of stewed tomato.
But that man didn't know how to cook either. So
His
But
his
we-
go tos were his meatballs and sausage,
buttered noodles.
and shake and bake chicken.
My kids,
Remember
my
that?
kids love buttered noodles, yo.
Yo,
I have another song I'm working on, and it has that line. It has a line about shake and bake in it.
oh no.
Yeah.
Dude,
I can't wait to hear
I'm
this.
traumatized from shake and bake chicken. Like, and he used to buy the big ass breasts, the full like chicken breasts, and just coat them in shake and bake and put them in the oven, and there you
I
go.
remember mom putting the shake and bake in the bag.
Yeah, yeah.
Yummy.
Yeah, but what we would do, we grew up in a Spanish household and a black household,
Yeah.
and then mom got remarried to this Irish
Yeah,
American guy. So, we had experiences from all different cultures, and then we
Right.
met this guy over here,
Yeah.
the Asian.
right,
So that opened us up to
The
a whole nother
Asian.
world. But
right.
but yeah,
That's
so-
how I learned how to use chopsticks. Going to Moan's house, they didn't have no clean forks or spoons
They
ever.
barely, even if they did, it was like
Yeah.
they had like two.
Right, they only had like 2 forks in the house.
We don't need those. We
Yeah,
don't use
like
those.
I watched this dude eat cereal with chopsticks, and I was like, okay,
He's making some shit up.
I am not making nothing up. That is 100% true.
What
That's
kind of
maybe.
cereal do you remember?
It was
Cheerios?
like-
Could
no,
you get one at a time?
No, it was like Frosted Flakes or something. He was eating with chopsticks, and then I was like, okay, so if I'm gonna cook, because I used to be at his house every day, and we'd be hungry.
Literally
so,
every day.
So I was like, if I'm gonna eat over here, I gotta learn how to eat with these chopsticks, and that's when I really honed my skills.
I tell you what, sausage with rice
Yeah.
and eggs blew my mind.
that
was
yes.
like the thing.
Yes.
Especially the jasmine rice. you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Talking about like Italian sausage, just like fried on the pan
Yeah.
with some eggs and some white rice with some sriracha. That's what we
Banging.
used to eat that all the time.
That is
Amazing.
good.
We were on the sriracha before it was
Before-
way
before you had
popular.
t-shirts
Before,
with it?
Yeah,
before
100%.
Netflix
100%.
or Netflix Food Network.
Before every
Emerald.
company had a version of sriracha.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because the dude that created it never trademarked it. So it was like a free for all. That's why you see so many versions of it because he never trademarked it.
I never noticed that.
Yeah.
So back to Thanksgiving.
So yeah.
I might be making a chicken and clay. We'll see what happens.
Yo, let me know how that comes out.
So I'll talk a little bit about, the history of Thanksgiving. Something that was kind of cool. Me and my brother, John, went to Plymouth Rock on Saturday. And it was the 400th year of the signing of the Mayflower Compact.
Before you go on, I just want to shout out some people.
Okay.
Paul Horner said, I don't want no chicken from China. Ariana said, my aunt makes a big Thanksgiving feast. That's what's up. We hope you don't have more than 10 people, Ariana, because then we might have to make some
we
phone
might have
calls.
to report you.
Eileen Griffenberg
Psych.
says, what is the Irish connection?
I think we already said that.
Yeah, she knows.
knows.
We answered
Oh, okay.
that. She knows. I think she's
I
joking.
think she's joking. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Tiffany says, hello, guys. Happy early Thanksgiving. Hope you all have a blessed one. Love you. Love you too, Tiff. Thanks
Ditto.
for stopping by. Everybody share this video, please.
Yeah, please share.
Okay. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, so Mayflower Compact, we went down there. It was cool. It was a nice day. We drove like 6 hours up, 6 hours back.
Yeah.
Quick. But
By we, you.
well, me.
What you need? What
Yeah,
you
John.
need?
But
AJ? Your bag? It's right over here. John, now grab his bag.
I mean,
What up, Jay?
he offered to drive. John offered to drive.
I know.
I
He told me I was playing.
just drove, But no, Mayflower Compact is very key to this country because it has to do with the roots of our Constitution. It has to do with the roots of the Declaration of Independence.
Right.
And how they came here, and the Pilgrims, and they set up a governing system amongst themselves under God, and started.
Yeah, I find it interesting that like nowadays when people talk about like the founding and coming to the country, like the focus is always on Columbus.
Yeah.
You know
which
what I
is-
mean? Isn't that weird? Like we
Yeah.
don't really talk about the Mayflower anymore.
Yeah.
You always talk
It's like
about
Columbus is like the face of, or what they want to.
it's what they want to point
brand.
you to.
It's
Yeah,
like
the
they
branding.
branded the
Yeah.
founding.
Yeah, because
of
when you
it.
think about all the statues, all of the,
There was something happening, like, I would have to look it up and really like find what I'm looking for. But there was something happening. I think maybe it was like in San Francisco or on the West Coast where a lot of violence was happening like against Italians, and they were like beating them up, and there was all kinds of crazy stuff happening. And the governors or mayors were like, we gotta give the Italians something.
so Columbus
and Columbus
was
Day came out of that, and they
Wow.
were supposed to kind of do it for like a
Wow.
one time. Like there's been all this violence. It was kind of like a Black Lives Matter situation
yeah.
where
Huh.
like they were dogging out Italians and beating them up and taking their crap, and basically like, we're not going to hire you, and F you guys, you freaking,
Yeah.
wops,
wops.
get out of here,
Wops.
you wops. So yeah, and Columbus Day came out of that as kind of like a publicity big up, like here you go, here's something in America for
Okay.
you. And then that kind of like took off. Instead of just being a 1 year thing, they continued with it.
Right.
And probably the statues and a lot of that stuff came afterwards.
even though he sailed for Spain.
Like when you go and look at it, you're like, wait.
Yeah. And even though his name really wasn't Columbus, like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
And then
Division is history.
there has
And-
to be a connection to.
And he didn't land in the United States.
Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah.
And there has to be. I think there's also a
It's
connection.
Americas, though.
It
I
is the
gotta
Americas.
look into this, but there's got to be a connection to Colombia, the god,
Maybe.
and him being Columbus. Like
Maybe.
you guys know the origin of that god, Columbia, goddess Columbia.
No.
I looked it up actually a month ago, and I don't remember.
It has something to do with when they were establishing the country. They believed that all nations had to have like a ruling god that go along with it. You know what I mean? And they developed this god, Columbia.
District of Columbia.
Right. But I think there's something deeper to it because when you think about Columbia is like always attached to, like District of Columbia, Columbia Pictures, Columbia Broadcast System, Columbia Records. Like these are all like the first of the firsts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of like the broadcasting and movies and music. You know, it was always Columbia. You know. So there's something, and this the image of Columbia Pictures, Columbia Records is the woman
Holding the torch.
holding the torch,
Right.
which is Statue of Liberty. You know what I
Right.
mean?
So 1892 is the stuff that I was talking about when the celebrations and parades first began. But then in 1937, Franklin D. Roosevelt proclaimed Columbus Day a national holiday, largely as a result of intense lobbying by the Knights of Columbus, an influential Catholic fraternal organization.
Yeah, I've heard of the Knights of Columbus, and it is one of those fraternal orders.
Yeah.
There was one
Yeah.
right in Williamstown.
That's
Where
right.
we had all our school dances.
That's where all of our proms
yeah,
were.
our
Yeah.
semi-formal.
Wow. It's funny how because he had to do with like changing.
FDR's
Thanksgiving,
involved with
too.
a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He changed Thanksgiving because it used to be the last week in the last Thursday in November.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he changed it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But I just thinking about that, like it's almost like we've been trained to connect the discovery of America with Columbus and like, you know, the establishing and coming here, and like we don't even think Mayflower anymore. I remember learning about it, like, yeah, you say Mayflower, Pilgrims, yeah, of course. Pilgrims' first Thanksgiving is the Pilgrims,
Right.
not Columbus. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, even with that though, like I never learned about the Mayflower Compact in
Right,
in
right.
school.
I
That's
learned
true.
about it.
The Mayflower Compact.
Yeah, when I was young and sick.
Well, we didn't
Yeah.
because I would have known about. I would have remembered.
All I
Something
remember
like
is
that.
we didn't land on Plymouth Rock.
But that's Martin.
Rock
That's,
landed on us.
that's Martin Luther
I
King.
thought Plymouth Rock was a big rock.
Go ahead.
I'm reading about, like, it's crazy because remember I showed you the picture of like my great grandfather's immigration papers.
Yeah.
So this is around that same time, and basically anybody who was coming in droves in immigration at that time, everybody who was already here was like, yo, screw you, you're bringing in diseases and we don't want you, no immigrants.
Right.
But there's like books, and there's one where this guy details that time called The Italian Americans' Troubled Roots. Italians were often portrayed as short of stature, dark in complexion, cruel and shifty. I'm like, oh snap. Like they had whole like kind of propaganda, you know what I'm saying? Like,
No, that's been around forever. Like
them-
me
keep
and him were
them-
talking about when the Irish started coming in too, because of the whole potato famine thing.
right.
Yeah.
Which when you look into that, it sounds like some kind of made up thing as well. Like it's weird.
Right.
Yeah.
But
John, like in his family, they got like the Black Irish.
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
That's a whole nother weird thing.
But there was Irish were treated the same way. Like the Irish were there were certain
There was
places-
that. Yeah, there was Irish indentured servants and
Yeah.
slaves.
Yeah.
Slaves.
Yeah, yeah. A lot
I
of
mean, it
people-
wasn't the same as you know, African American Black people.
Yeah, of course not. Nothing was like that.
But yeah. So going back to Columbus, or no, not Columbus, the Pilgrims.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 400 years, and then next Thanksgiving will be the 400th Thanksgiving,
Right.
which is cool.
So this is 400 years since the Mayflower Compact.
Right.
Right.
And then so this would be the Mayflower Compact and then they landed right Plymouth Rock in December because they had to figure things out first. So they were still like kind of on the ship, you know.
Did you put up a picture of Plymouth Rock?
I did it.
I'll pull it up. I can pull it up. Go ahead, keep talking.
The tiny rock.
Yeah.
But yeah, that winter they lost like over half of the people that they had.
They
Yeah,
weren't
it was
ready
a
for it.
crazy winter. And the Indians actually helped them, you know, crop, and they taught them how to grow corn and how to hunt certain things.
So that's a true story.
It's all true.
Yeah.
Like there was
Minus
That's the rock.
turkey.
That's the same thing I said.
Me too.
Like, yo,
I was imagining this big rock.
how the hell do you
That's
land on that rock?
I mean, it's just
They stood on.
Is that a piece of it? Is there more?
no, that is literally
So
just
it's buried. The rest of it is buried
for show.
underground.
Oh,
Like, it's-
okay.
Yeah, it's
I
just
thought,
for show.
you know, we
It's
got the
buried
Liberty
underground?
Bell, so I figured
No,
that's it.
it's just for show.
It's a pretty.
But
weak-
it's just funny because, like, in your mind, I'm thinking like they landed on this, like they
Yeah.
pulled up to this rock, and
No.
everyone
Like-
board got
like-
off on this, like Plymouth
Like John
Rock.
John said, he said to me when I drove him home, he was like, I imagine like, you know, Lion King.
Yeah,
Like
like
how
Pride
he
Rock.
had, Rafiki had
yeah. Yeah, no, but it's but continue. It's just funny because when you showed me the picture, like, oh yeah, this is the rock here. I think you FaceTimed me.
Yeah.
and I was like, that's it.
that had to be a piece.
It's
That's a
funny
piece
'cause
of it.
You said the same thing I said right after I just said it when he called you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, that was like really cool in terms of that was actually true how they brought how they interacted with the Native Americans at
Yeah.
that time, and there was 50 years of peace
mm-hmm.
between them, you know, so all that stuff was true. It's just you know, people come in and people take advantage.
right.
The Puritans who came there, they actually were going there to seek God, to go pioneer, to go to where they had
And
freedom.
find a place that they could literally establish
Yeah,
under the law of God.
right. And it's kind of like what we were talking about, I think a week or two ago, about like established religion within a state or a country, and how you were upholding to the rules, and you weren't able to freely worship.
Right.
So they were coming to America to be able to worship freely, and not be upholding to like this state religion like the Church of England at that time.
Right.
And this is when the King James Bible was written too.
Yeah.
Like King James Bible was written in 1611. They had something to do with that too, the Puritans. So it's all interesting in history. But yeah, so Thanksgiving is important to this country.
Yeah.
And even in terms of like what we're going through now, it is like what Cuomo said, it is more meaningful, but not in the
Right. Not in the way that
Not
he
in the
said.
it's
way
more
he's
like,
saying.
you know, to understand that a lot of this stuff is meaningless.
Right.
That we focus on, and it is about our family, you know,
and being thankful for what we do have. Yeah.
what we have, and appreciative to what we can have,
Right.
and how it all stems from our houses, you
Mhm.
know, from our households. And that's something that I think this country kind of lost.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I think we become like spoiled in a lot of ways where we just, now it's like we expect everything and want more, you know?
Yeah.
So you have that mentality of like, if I don't get what I want, then I'm going to just complain about it and, you know, expect the government to do it for me, you know,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And when you
get
do
annoyed.
that, that's how you end up in this position where you can be forced to do things that you don't want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What is important?
Right. All right. So, anything else about that?
No.
Okay. All right. So you wanted to go into. You've been having like dreams about this Hillsong thing.
I haven't been having dreams about Hillsong.
I thought you told me you
No,
had.
not Hillsong. I've been having dreams about religion and just what I believe God is doing in this time.
Okay.
You know, in terms of like cleaning the house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what seems wise to a man isn't always wise. You know what I mean? So it's like the things that sound like, you know, when people, yeah, that makes sense. Like a lot of times it's because we're already compromised and the house has to be cleansed. You got to get that serpent out. You know what I mean? A lot of times that serpent's hiding in your house and it's got to be taken out the house.
Right.
And what the serpent does is it causes you to think something makes sense and then descend and disrespect the roots of the tree or the foundation of the house that it's built upon, you know.
Right. That goes all the way back to that first story of the serpent in the garden.
It goes back to what we were just talking about with Thanksgiving and the Puritans.
Right.
You know, why they came here and how the country was, our Constitution and was based off of those things. And when you look at that, it might have been white people, but it has nothing to do with being white. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with race. And it has everything to do with how they wanted to serve God.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And those are the ideas that we can take and like resurrect in a sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if we're not, and that's honor.
Mm-hmm.
That's respect. That's when we dishonor, we complain and we see no good in anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we're dishonoring something, we have no fear or reverence towards the past and our forefathers and what happened in our past.
Right.
Because it's not all bad,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But if we can't see it, we're just going to be looking at we're going to be looking at the bad. And
I think it's almost designed to have you look at the bad because that easily forces you into camps. You know what I mean? On your own.
Yeah.
Without being forced into a camp, you herd yourself into a camp because then you look for people that agree with you on the bad things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we were just going into like what the Italians had to deal with when they first got here, what the Irish had to deal with, and you were saying like it's not about a white people thing. But
it's a cultural thing.
Right, but I'm saying like now we've been so herded now into the mindset of white and black where it's like there is no more nuance. There is no more like, you know, at one time Italians weren't considered white.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but now Asians are white.
Yeah.
Now Asians are white.
I'm on the
So
team.
you and Mo are together. You know what I mean?
You don't benefit the cause, so you
Right.
can't call
Right.
yourself. Yeah, because it's all about what is the intent,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
And you're always gonna see the intent based off of what people say and what people do. And that's
Right.
what you got to pay attention to. That's where you see the serpent. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what we want to get into.
Right.
Is that serpent that kind of slithers into the house undetected because wisdom is what people are. Yeah, that makes sense. So it creeps its way in and corrupts the house.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, but back to Moan brought up correcting John about tomatoes being a vegetable, and it just made me think of that saying that, you know, knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, right? So you could say, yeah, it has seeds, yeah, it grows on a vine, yeah, that makes sense. But wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad, you know what I mean? Like, because it doesn't go,
Right.
you know what I mean? So that there's a difference there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You can still be ignorant.
Yeah.
You know, and how are you able to discern or really truly judge? And I think that's the thing like that's happening right now is people are judging without true understanding because they haven't gone through the process of exercising true wisdom. They're exercising ignorance. You're not going to grow. You know what I mean? So you're not going to know if you never put the tomatoes in the fruit salad.
Right.
You're not going to realize it
Right.
don't go.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's about making mistakes and being okay with making mistakes and being humble. But
I hate fruit salad, by the way.
but here's
I'm
the
not a fan of fruit salad either, bro.
me neither. But here's the interesting thing about that whole what you said. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to make that mistake if you listen to the ones who already
Right.
made
Who
the
have the
mistake.
wisdom
Yeah.
passed down to you. You know?
And now they have that.
Right.
Dancing.
Fruits. What is that called when they put marshmallows in fruit salad?
What?
Isn't
Who
it
does
called
that?
something?
No,
My dad
it's
used-
it's an
my dad-
actual.
My dad used to make
Ambrosia?
Ambrosia, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
bro.
And is that canned fruit salad stuff too?
Yeah, it's
so.
like real juicy.
Oh man,
With
that
like-
stuff they used to give us when we were kids.
Yeah.
With them wrinkled up grapes.
Yep.
Oh, is that what that white stuff is in the fruit salad?
Marshmallows, yeah.
Ew.
My dad used to make that.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Aline says, "I am loving your message. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that."
All right. So
So we're gonna go a little deep right now into some stuff, guys. And it's what I'm gonna say is that on the surface, it might seem like we're judging people, but we're kind of judging past the people,
Right.
And
It's
at
not the people.
It's what's going on,
Right.
And what people can be attached to,
right.
that keeps them in the bondage,
Right.
of and keeps things in a place of corrupt, and then people grow up under that, and now they're the rebellious ones, mad in ignorance,
Right.
that are looking at like it all needs to be burnt down,
Right.
You know,
But it's not you. So let's go into the backstory of what is the Hillsong scandal, and like why people are outraged right now. Why this is even a story on? Because for those that don't know, they did an interview on Good Morning America. That was this morning, right?
no, it was like maybe 4 days.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly.
Recently.
Recently, yeah,
Interviewing a woman who had an affair with a pastor of a church.
yeah. Carl Lentz.
Right.
Hillsong is like one of the biggest churches in the world, like in terms of they
Right.
have a Hillsong, Texas, L.A., New York. You know, it started in Australia. It's in London. It's all over.
And it's known for having like superstars
Yeah,
that go there.
especially in America, and
I'm really big with music too, right? I
Yeah.
remember them always releasing albums of their compilation, like whatever. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's like
that's
a
one of
Hillsong
their.
album.
That's how they got really popular.
Okay, they have like
Oh.
two different
Off of their
bands.
music.
They have the Hillsong.
Now
which is
it's
their church
now
band, and
it's
then they
all
have the
connected
Hillsong.
now
now.
it's clicking.
Yeah,
It's clicking. I remember.
yeah. Hillsong is huge with music. Actually, there's a few people who came out of Hillsong that like went over into the secular realm.
Oh, real quick, shout out to Melanie, our cousin. She just
up,
gave,
Mel?
gave a little heart. What's up,
What
Mel?
up?
Yeah, there was I can't remember her name. She was a popular.
Katy Perry?
No, she has blonde hair. That's all I can remember.
Christina
She
Aguilera?
was like a pop singer.
A pop singer with blonde hair.
Taylor Swift.
That narrows it down.
But anyway, so Carl Lentz
Yeah.
was caught up in a scandal in his church, where he was cheating on his wife and got in trouble for that. Got fired from Hillsong. And he's a huge pastor. But the point is that, of course, he's got to take responsibility for it, right? But it's bigger than that, and that's
Right.
what we want to go into. How it's not about him as much as it's about the whole organization,
Right.
you know, and why these things can happen, because the foundation's off, you know.
So, what do you want me to show first?
You can start with the video, I guess.
Let's go to the first interview.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought she was gonna show the picture.
JCPenney's Black Friday is on.
Okay. We don't need to hear advertisements from JCPenney's.
Joy to
How they going to do Black Friday? Like, so we can't. This is interesting. So we can't have We can't have Thanksgiving, but are we allowed to rush in for Black Friday?
Trample each other to
It
death.
just said
Yeah.
curbside pickup on the ad when you were.
Did it say curbside
Oh.
pickup?
It said free curbside pickup.
As an option, but not but,
We
right?
sanitize our curbs.
Right, right. All right, so let's check it out. Here goes ex-football player turned serious journalist.
Exclusive, the woman allegedly behind the affair that brought down Hillsong Church celebrity pastor Carl Lentz speaking out. And Amy is here with more. Good morning, Amy.
That's right, Michael. Good morning. It was a huge fall from grace. Carl Lentz's global following included Justin Bieber and a long list of celebrities and pro athletes will now, without a job and trying to repair his marriage, his former mistress tells us her side of what happened.
Did he tell you he loved you?
Yes, he did.
Did you love him?
This morning, the woman who says she was the mistress of Carl Lentz, formerly known as Justin Bieber's hipster pastor from Hillsong Church, is speaking out.
Why is that what he's known as?
Hipster pastor.
Justin Bieber's hipster pastor? I guess that's what happens when you...
But that's what, yeah. And a lot of people, like, he's popular because he's the way he dresses and he's in shape, you know, and he's hipster.
Yeah.
Roots in there.
What?
I said that's what happens when you put your roots in there.
when you get your roots in there.
I was like, are you married? And he said, I am, but he doesn't wear a ring. You never ever see him wearing a ring.
When he told you he was married for 17 years and had 3 kids, did you think, I can't be with him, I can't date him? Or did you think, I'm okay with that?
I was like, it's all good. I was married before, and I didn't want to judge him because I was like, I like to meet people and feel like they're like a blank canvas, you know? You get to know them and you
Right,
let them
but when they're married, they're not.
paint their own colors on it. You don't.
What is she talking about?
Exactly. See, it sounds all nice and beautiful. Nobody's a blank canvas, number one.
All of that talk is always so just like spacey to me.
But that's what it is. It's literally like,
If you can't lock anything down, you don't have to be accountable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very idealistic without any type of grounding whatsoever.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean?
He told me he was married, but I was married and I didn't
Yeah.
want to judge him.
I was married before, she said.
What?
I've been married before.
Go and just put stickers on people and think they're gonna be that and gonna be this. And I didn't want to do that to him because I didn't want to judge him.
Who could use a little bit more wisdom?
Lentz was known as a rock star priest at Hillsong, a church previously frequented by celebrities like Chris Pratt and Vanessa Hudgens, and followed online by more than 500,000 people.
I just want to love people more. I just want to love Carl more.
Raneen Kareem says when she met Lentz 5 months ago, they began what she calls a consensual affair, in spite of what she thought were red flags, including him telling her not to Google him, saving her number in the Notes app instead of his contact list, and refusing to tell her his last name or what he did for a living, despite regularly posting photos of himself online with Hollywood elite and NBA stars, something she says she didn't know at first.
He's like, I work with celebrities, and I say, what exactly you do? And he keeps saying, I manage celebrities and I travel with them. He didn't want to say what he does.
Did you think that was a red flag? He won't give you his last name?
Yeah, it was. Because, I don't know, it was really strange.
Kareem says she searched online and found out more about him.
I realized that he's the pastor from Hillsong, and I was like, oh, I was at this church like 6 years ago.
You had been to Hillsong?
One time. Only one time.
She says she confronted him.
And I told him, I know who you are, and I'm not here to judge you. But I have a question. I was like, there's something wrong with your marriage that you're sitting here with me? He said, no, it's you.
Kareem says she tried to break the relationship off several times, but that Lentz kept coming back to her until late October when she says his wife Laura found out about their alleged affair.
Did he call you to tell you? Is that what he did? It was a phone call?
Yeah, he called me at midnight and he said, my wife, he was in the hallway. You can hear he was in the hallway. He's like, my wife found out and I gotta go. And I was like, I was devastated.
The next month, Hillsong firing him, citing several reasons, including, quote, moral failures. Lentz later admitting online that he had been unfaithful in my marriage without saying who he had been with. Hillsong has now begun an investigation into the culture of the church, but Kareem says Lentz's rising celebrity may have contributed to his behavior.
When you give somebody so much power, they become God to people. And I think people forgot the concept of religion and beliefs. And I think that people look at Carl like he's God to them.
I know that you've said that you have already gotten hate and people who are upset with your choices, even for having the affair with Carl in the beginning, knowing that he was married. Is there anything that you would like her to know? Anything you would like to say to her if she were to listen?
I feel bad for her. Woman to a woman, I don't think she deserved to be hurt the way that she did. And I never meant to hurt her.
Now, we tried to reach out to Carl Lentz.
So there's a lot there in
Yeah.
terms of the mentality and, you know, how you get involved with somebody like that. She, just for a background with her, just looking up, she's from Palestine. She's Muslim by religion, but, you know, she's obviously not really Muslim.
Practicing, yeah.
Yeah, she's more like, she's in New York. She's like a fashion designer. She's more like a free-spirited type person, you know. And that's something he was drawn to. And you see it like, because there's more articles that were out about him. There's one in Vanity Fair that I put up there. There's one in New York Post. There's a few articles that she talked about it. And you can just tell, like, it seemed like she was almost like an escape for him from the world he was living in that was like too much for him. You know what I mean? It's like overwhelming. And it becomes a heavy burden. Because it's religion. And you can't live up to this thing that you feel like you got to live up to. He was put in place as somebody who is the idea and picture of what it looks like to serve God in purity. You know what I'm saying? And that's not the case. And he had all the right things to say, and, you know, he knew how to deal with the media in the right way, and that's another key with the media. So that's the problem. Everything, it becomes like...
You look the part.
You look the part. It's all about media training. You know what I mean? How do you speak? How do you talk? Instead of just allowing the Spirit of God to move you. You know, sometimes the people... I was just watching today about the Welsh revival in Wales in 1904. And it started from this young 20-year-old guy who barely even said anything. And he brought in this whole revival that spread throughout the world.
Yeah.
Like that started the Suzel revival. I don't know if you know. But it spread into Europe, and it spread into even India.
I don't even know what the Welsh revival is.
But my point is that it like wasn't this like he wasn't this amazing speaker. He literally just humbled himself to God, you know? And that's the key to it all. That's my point. Like, we think because all these people, they know what to say, they have the right words, they know how to not cross the line in terms of like, well, like his thing he used to always say was, like in terms of like, they would question him, because that's the thing when you're popular. So now the media want to hit you with like, okay, so what's your stance on LGBT? And he's like, that's a conversation. He doesn't really have a stance. That's a conversation that we have to have, you know, but he's not going to hold a stance in terms of it. What's up?
No, I was just,
I
had a voicemail.
That just sounds like he's a politician.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's what, this is what it has to do with, but he was trained for that, right? So it's not like, and he even says that he gave his life to this, but that quick they can just throw him away. You know, that quick he makes a mistake and then it's over.
Mike Walker said she feels bad for her now, not before, but not bad enough to stop sleeping with him. Lies.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, you know, you can't believe everything she says. Like, she's trying to prove herself right now.
Yeah.
And it's really not about her. She does give you like a little window into how he, you know, was thinking and feeling at the time. So
right.
I did want to read a little bit about like Vanity Fair. Like, this was something that I thought was interesting. It was a text where he calls her, and he used to say this a lot, my unicorn alien woman, whom I'm forever glad I met. Like, this is something that he would say, and it's like,
that's her pet name.
Many red flags.
You're
up to
trying
that
to
point.
appeal to something, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're already like in that's a mindset, like to even say something like that.
Right.
That's a zone, that's a space, you know, that you're already in. That's not something that just happened. You You know, and in terms of trying to, when you are trying, and we know this from being in the music industry and trying to be a part of it in the way we tried to be a part of it,
Right.
you have to give up parts of yourself.
Mhm.
You have to give up parts of yourself. There's no way not to,
Right.
unless you truly seek God in it, and then He leads your path. Now you giving up other parts of yourself, but to Him. But you're gonna have to give up. You're gonna have to compromise. You're gonna have to let things die that actually have to rise in Christ. Right? We're gonna let things die because we got to make agreements with the ruler of this world so that we can be a governing force in this world. Or
Paul Horner said Hillsong. I guess that was a pun. Hillsong been scandalous for a minute now. Not just Mr. Lentz. They had a youth pastor dress up as a half-naked cowboy at an NYC event.
Yeah, and that's another thing. So the point of this it's not even about all Hillsong. It's about church in general.
What's happening in
and
the
how
church,
it's
right.
being twisted.
Right.
You know, and how it's becoming commercialized, and it's all about money. You know, false prophets,
Right.
false prophet.
Right.
You know, how are you profiting? Are you what's valuable to you? You know,
Jake got bars. I'm logging them off. But I'm
When
gonna
you
take them.
said that, her
You're gonna
face
hear
was
that
like,
later. Yes.
No, but that's the truth. Like
Mhm.
it's profit, but it's profits.
Right.
You know, because it's funny because right now people have prophesied about the whole Trump thing and you know what's going on with that, and people are so quick to be like, "Oh, you're a false prophet because look, Biden's the president."
Yeah.
Well, really, that's kind of gray right now.
Right.
But even beyond that, a false prophet isn't because he says. A lot of false prophets will prophesy stuff that actually happens.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was
Right.
Balaam.
The false prophets they're speaking of in the Bible weren't based off of accuracy.
No.
A lot of the stuff that they were saying was happening, but it was happening in opposition to God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's accurate in terms of how you see.
Right.
Because if you're totally blind, it's going to be completely accurate to you.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? But the veil gets lifted from the actual prophets.
Mhm.
Right? Because they come to combat the false prophets, the
Right.
false casting of visions.
Mhm.
Right? So that's the media is literally casting a vision.
Right.
And when you're connected to that, because when you look, Kyle Lentz is being interviewed by the media and he's saying something in a way where it's okay. And this is backed up by Hillsong. This is not just him speaking on his own
Right.
when he's speaking. So these things are done to get people in church, to get people in the door. So in order to do that, you're compromising, you know, and you're becoming, it's for false profit.
Right.
You
It's
know?
wizardry.
It's wizardry. Exactly.
It's
it's
just a part-
manipulation.
yeah, it's manipulation.
It's witchcraft.
Yep.
It's
all a part of the spell. It's
and
the same
that's what
thing.
he was saying. Like he was saying he felt like heaviness. He felt like the weight of the world was on his shoulders.
You're talking about Carl Lentz.
Carl Lentz, like through all, like talking to her, confiding to her about this stuff, you know. But it's back and forth. Like you get so used to. Is that me?
Yeah.
You get so used to trying to play the role that you don't know what's real, and you're just trying to survive yourself. That's narcissism, you know?
Right, right.
And she kind of went into that a little bit in the New York Post article. It's fun. She would say like they drink tequila, so much tequila. She said, and said they would talk always, but they didn't talk about Christianity. And there is another part. She said he kept saying that we didn't plan this. We didn't plan this. That this is life, and we fell into it. And she said they repeatedly ended things. I kept walking away. She said, but he never knew how to say goodbye. So it was like a back and forth. Even to the time where he got caught, he was still like, you know, back and forth with her. And then she says he was a professional narcissist. He lied too much. So you don't even know where you stand. You know, and even like in terms of that, like if this is true, what he said, even about like, you know, that's life and we fell into it. that can be life. You know, that can be life.
Right.
If you have no bearings on or no grounding.
Yeah.
Right. And it seems like he has no grounding because she definitely had no grounding, and he was enamored or seduced by her.
Right.
She was a whore in that way. Not that she's a whore. Not that she's a whore.
Right.
What I'm saying is that her mindset is whorish in terms of if you're not dedicated to anything, then you'll whore yourself out to anything.
Right.
If you're not committed to something, then you're going to be a whore for everything. So we can all be whores.
Right.
You know, and he was seduced by that.
Seduced by the wine of her ways.
Seduced by the wine of her ways. Young lion.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the wine of her waist.
Probably both.
By both. Yeah.
But that's what you can tell, like, just by seeing it, like, he was already enthralled by that because he needed an escape from the heaviness of the pressure that he was under, you know, and that comes, you're only going to have that pressure from mixture that's come in, from serpents that have creeped in.
Right.
That doesn't happen. Like, God is not a pressure on you. He takes away the pressure. You know, that's what iniquity is. Iniquity is the pressure. Isaiah 53, he's the one who comes in and he was crushed because of pressure for your iniquities, right? That's the depths that we have to go down deep in. The deeper you go in the sea, the more pressure there is.
You feel, yeah.
But a lot of people don't want to go that deep because it's scary to go to the darkness of the sea where there's no light and there's pressure.
Right.
Right. The more you go against the norm, the more you're going to get hit by people. You're
Right.
going to be attacked because you're going against the principalities that want to rule. You're going against the ruler of the world.
Right.
You know, and that's the key. Like, so you're going to suffer. Jesus said you're going to suffer as he suffered because he went against it all. He took on all the pressure, right? So that we wouldn't have to take it on and he could take it for us, but we still got to go through it because we don't believe it, right? We don't believe it. So we're going to have to go through it. And that helps us to believe.
Right.
Now we're being separated from the things that we're under pressure with.
Tiffany said Satan.
Yes. So there was a clip, a Ja Rule clip I just put in there.
Ja Rule?
Ja Rule. Just to show, like,
Ja
Rule.
Rule.
What I do
without my baby?
Please, Ja Rule.
I don't even
tell us how we're supposed to feel about this. Remember the Dave Chappelle?
The Dave Chappelle
joke?
skit, yeah.
You ever see that?
Yes, I started watching some clips the other day after we talked about Dave Chappelle,
Yeah.
like old like the Chappelle Show, and I was dead on the
Netflix.
floor.
Yeah.
Like, this is forever will be some of the best comedy.
I started watching some of it. I had to turn it off because it was not kid friendly.
No.
The old one, or is the new stuff out? He's
Chappelle
doing,
Show?
He's doing new.
No, the old
old
stuff is on Netflix.
He's doing a new version or whatever, a reboot or something.
No, they just released it on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so here's
As we're going on this church tour, I go into a church right here in the city, in Irving Plaza. It's called Hillsong. And they have a pastor there named Carl Lentz. And from the moment I walked in the church, I said, okay, this is where they mean come as you are.
You just knew.
Because now let me paint this picture for you. I don't know if you've ever been to Hillsong.
No.
You're probably going to want to check it out after
Okay,
this. It's a great church. If you go to church, I don't know if you go to church, but I walk in the spot. I pass a bar coming in. It's dark. Then I see like strobe lights, a stage, and a disco ball.
Oh, shit.
They turn a club into a church on Sunday.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that really hit me like, okay, so, all right, this is very different. Let me go see what this is about. Then I started looking around in the crowd, in the audience, and I see like skater kids in the back with their skateboards and their skate gear in the back, you know. Dudes over here look like they just came off of 145, like, yo, Poppy, I got that thing. You know, it was a real eclectic group of people. It was different.
And really come as you are.
And really come as you are. And then the pastor walks out, Carl Lentz. He's wearing some jeans, a T-shirt and a red pair of J's.
Word?
With tats all over them.
Oh, man. That's
And
what I'm talking about.
and this is how I felt. And
Yeah.
he started preaching the word. In the front row, Tyson Chandler's sitting right there, you know. Vanessa Hudgens is there. My girl June Ambrose is there, you know.
All right.
So I'm looking around, I'm like, okay, you know what?
So when you
This
hear
might
him,
be something.
what is he now? He hasn't changed.
Right.
He's the same type of, this is the same. This was way before he went and
Fire Festival.
And I don't know if people know about that, but they took so many people's money, and even after they took their money, this guy's on the phone like, we gotta be able to finagle this.
Right, right.
So his mindset hasn't changed, and it shows, because what is the whole point? What's he doing when he's going there? He's judging it based off of the
What
way
makes him
he
comfortable.
sees it.
Right.
Yeah. The looks.
Right.
He's judging it based off of how it's going to make him comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the point. Like,
Right.
not to say that you can't feel comfort, but it's about
Yeah, and not to say there isn't something to be said for like a pastor who's not playing the part of the preacher in the suit and the, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But he's just playing a different part.
Exactly.
He's playing the hipster pastor.
The James.
Yeah.
Here I am with my rock guitar and my flannel and my Chuck Taylors. Christian.
He's playing this part. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, he's playing this part right here. He's playing the part of this guy. You know what I'm saying?
What did Bill Burr say?
No, that was Joe Rogan.
Oh, Joe Rogan said.
Yeah. He's playing, and that picture went viral because it's like, wait, this is Justin Bieber and his pastor, you know, out and about, and he wants to be the rock star pastor. You know what I mean? Because that's gonna make all of the youth and all of the rock star celebrities want to come to the church, which makes the church more popular. You know, but at the end of the day, it's like, what does any of that have to do with what God is doing?
Yeah.
right. And what it does is it creates a culture of abuse, because you got a lot of people who are getting abused on the low end and on the high end. So in that Vanity Fair article, there was they mentioned somebody. There's an article I put in there.
Okay, real quick before you go
Jordan
there.
chiming in.
Before you go there, Jordan chimed in and said, I think a lot of American evangelicalism behaves like it's ashamed of God. They're trying to make themselves, quote unquote, appealing / attractive in order to, quote unquote, draw people, as though just pointing people to God would turn them off. But this is the problem. It does a lot of times. It does a lot of times, just saying, you need God, man. Like, people are already like, because how much the church has failed and how much the church has been stigmatized and how much, like, he's done more. Now this dude has done more damage, because we were talking about the Joe Rogan thing, where it's like Joe Rogan spotted this, called this dude out
way before,
months ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he was like, no dude walks around dressed like that that's really a pastor. You know what I'm saying?
He was talking about the celebrity and the issue with that.
Yeah.
You know, and you're obviously upholding to something.
Yeah. Paul Horner said, it's come as you are, leave as you are, nothing changed.
Yeah.
Good
Right.
point.
Exactly. Right. So this
okay, I'm gonna pull up that
I just
article.
thought about it. Ja Rule went there. That was before the fire festival. He went there. He didn't change.
Exactly.
He got worse.
That's my point. Yeah, like he's like, oh yeah, this is cool, but
right. This is the kind of church I want to see. So you said the Vanity Fair article?
No, not that. It's it was from that. It should be under it, I think. It's called Dishonorable Mention. Hillsong.
Okay, I got it. Yep.
So this girl, she wrote this article, and that's her on the. So that's Carl Lentz, and then I think his wife.
That's his wife in the middle.
And then that's her.
Right.
So she was like in deep with them. Like, she helped plant that church. She was even there before Carl Lentz got there. Like, she helped plant the church. She was like not like a leader. What's up?
This guy is like not paying attention.
So she wasn't a leader,
Right.
but she was like in with everything. She was working with Carl Lentz.
Part of
So
the
it's,
team.
it's not like she was like somebody low on the totem pole. She was like actually doing things. There was something I wanted to read from there because I thought this was really interesting. And we don't even, I just wrote it down. We don't have to go to the article, but this is, and you can find it in the Vanity Fair article if anybody wants to look it up. But it says, I got to ghostwrite church emails and sermon stuff, first jokes, and then hefty portions of messages for Pastor Josh Kimes. And that's the guy who was under Carl Lentz.
Okay.
He's really popular also. I got to know and love Carl Lentz. So it just blew my mind that she's writing sermons
Right.
for people. And like, I know some people be like, well, what's wrong with that? Politicians get their stuff written. This is supposed to be
from God.
This is supposed to be revelation.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be relationship with God. How can somebody else write your stuff for you?
Right.
It's crazy. Like, and how is it scripted?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't speak from your heart and just, this is what God is showing me. You know what I mean?
And like jokes, like a late night monologue.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly. So what are we doing all this for? It's literally
It's
a
just
show.
It's another show.
It's another show.
Yeah.
This stuff is scripted.
It's just marketed to Christians.
Yeah.
It's marketing.
And then people sitting there laughing at
Yeah.
the show, at the wizardry.
Yeah.
You know, this is the leadership. And she went into detail about how the leadership, like the hierarchy and how like she went into like how the hierarchy and leadership would only really abide by the hierarchy, their hierarchy.
Yeah.
Right. But they would treat other people like crap. And she went into a little bit with like Carl Lentz. She said he was basically a good guy, but he still was a diva. Like it says, he was a diva with tendencies to text recklessly. Like there was one she said, like, dude, screenshots are a thing, right? Like I don't know, basic something that having to do with what she was.
So something that he texted probably that she.
Yeah, and then it says, and he was annoying, but he was also funny and warm. So, but then she went into, this is something, she says, a leader cannot be that corrupt within a good structure and this is after she went into like what he did and, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like a leader cannot be that corrupt within a good structure with nobody noticing for so long, especially not Carl Lentz, who was emotional, spoiled, pampered, and coddled. Carl Lentz. She said, bless his heart. This investigation may label him patient zero, but if 2020 has taught us anything, it's that denying sickness doesn't lessen its damage. Whatever he had, we need to be realistic about how many may be infected, because hurt people, empty people, and Hillsong people. I thought that was kind of funny. And that's Hillsong people. So she's not even in the church no more. She's kind of like
defected.
From that, I found this whole thing of like podcasts and pages, Instagrams. There was one I found like dirty rotten church kids. That was like a thing, and then where they like put up memes and stuff about church. And
so it's people that kind of defected away from
people who came out of those type of systems, and are hurt, and now they're atheists, or they just don't really, they believe in God, but they don't believe in Jesus really, or Jesus was just like some, but it's like,
or they move into new age thinking.
But they defect, because of the system, right? Because of what they grew up in. And so now they rebel. Mm-hmm. But what they're really rebelling against is God. It's just that system was the thing that caused them to rebel. Right. Because the serpent caused them to turn from the house, right? So,
but it's also your own, it's you that made the contract with that idea that you connected yourself to because you were drawn into something that fulfilled a desire in you, and then that thing let you down. So now you want to rebel against it instead of saying like, well, what is it in me that was attracted to this thing?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
But see, when you don't have when nobody is putting that before you, when you have no kind of understanding in that, how do you even make that judgment?
Right.
So the point is, the church is literally supposed to be what does Jesus say? With when the only time he's like snapping, he says this house should be a house of prayer, not a den of robbers, right?
Right.
And then they say like, what's the sign that you give us that you're coming in the gates and tearing stuff up? And he says, destroy this temple and build it back up in 3 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about his own temple. He's talking about himself. So the point of it is, it's about us.
Yeah.
We're the houses, We're the houses of God. We're the ones that got to let him in as our husband. He's got to come in and show us where we're lacking.
Right.
He's got to come in and plant the seed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Into our hearts.
Real quick, Mike Walker said ghostwrite with a bunch of question marks and then face palm, and Paul Horner replied to him and said, and not the Holy One. Talking about Holy Ghost, not the Holy One. Tiffany said amen.
Yeah.
And fake.
Yeah.
But
so
continue.
So these are things that they creep in like a serpent does, and it sounds good. It makes sense. Like, okay, we're having issues getting people in. How can we collectively come together and figure this out?
Yeah.
Like, these are what's before our eyes. We're seeing a problem, right? But we're not realizing that it's the temple that deals with. It's the grace that comes out of the temple,
right,
that deals with it. But when you stand in the way of the gates of the temple, your eyes, what are you seeing? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing something that seems right to a man, right? Wisdom that seems right to a man. But that's why Jesus was like, okay, just as Moses lifted up the serpent in the desert, so shall the Son of Man be lifted up. Well, what does that mean? Well, these people in the desert that were supposed to be Israelites, that were supposed to be following Moses, they started rebelling against Moses because they're like, did you bring us out here to die? they're coming against him now. So what happens? A plague comes. But what's that plague? It's the serpents. Now they're attacking them. Why? Because you're going to be judged by by the way that you judge. So now he's going to use a serpent, because really, who created the serpent? It's God created it. And it's a example, because that word seraph, we've spoken about this before, that word seraph is what he says, the seraph should be lifted up. And it has to do with fiery, serpent-like being or angel that purifies things. It's in Isaiah 6. But it's about something that is burning, right? So just the Son of Man should be lifted up. So meaning Jesus will be lifted up, but how is Jesus lifted up? He had to die.
Mm-hmm.
He had to die so that he could be lifted up.
The deep.
He had to go to the deep.
Right.
So we have to humble ourselves. Why do we have to die? Because we have to die to every idea that is contrary to God.
Right.
That we don't even know is contrary to God. So he has to show us what's contrary. We have to give it up. We have to go deep with him so that he can raise us up into his life.
And when you say every idea, you're literally speaking to every idea we've attached ourselves to that we believe is a good idea.
That we think is wisdom, but it's wisdom of man.
Right.
And it's perverted, but it sounds good in this world.
And you can say it makes sense.
It makes sense. Right. It makes sense. So let's come together and form some ideas of how we can, make it in this world.
But a lot of those ideas are being implanted by the false prophets,
right?
Which we on this podcast always rail on the media, because the media is probably the biggest, version of that we deal with. Even from an early age.
Yeah.
And that's where those ideas get attached and implanted.
Right. Because it's experts.
Right.
Experts on media. Experts on entertainment. Experts on
even just movies you watch, TV shows you watch. Yeah.
Education, medical, all these things. Where are you going? You're going to the media. They're giving these people platforms.
Right.
Oh, that's what we should do? Okay, I'm going to do that. Makes sense.
Right.
That makes, he's an expert, so I'm going to lay down everything I think and just follow him.
Right.
Not going to do any research. He said it, so I'm good.
Right.
Oh, Trump lost and Biden won. There is no, you said that there's no type of voter
Trust
fraud, right? So.
Right.
So that's what we're going to go with. Because in my heart, I really wanted to believe that anyway. Because I'm going, you know what I mean? It's, we give ourselves over to these things because of the desires of our heart, not realizing that the desires of our heart are wicked. It's wicked. It's funny how people say, live your dreams and go with your heart. But Literally, God
Disaster!
He tells us that it's wicked.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
So we have to, that's why we trust him, and he gives us his desire.
We were watching, so Meg Thee Stallion released a new video called Body that I brought up to Jamie the other day, and we were like, oh no, you know, it's a WAP 2.0 type of situation.
Yeah. The chorus is literally like body, yaddy, yaddy, yaddy,
yaddy,
yaddy,
yaddy, yaddy, yaddy, yaddy, yaddy, and then lots of, you know, like very suggestive dancing. But I guess the AMAs or the virtual AMAs or whatever just happened. So I saw some performances from that, and she did a performance with that, but there's this whole monologue in the beginning where she's like bigging up her body, and she's like, I love my body and I love everything about it, and it's mine. And like it's mine is stated like multiple times.
Right.
And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, but no, it's not.
Right,
you know
right,
what I'm saying?
right.
Like, it's funny that we're like, even our day and our time, like you've talked about that before, like we wake up and we're like, okay, I can allot my day. I have control over my time.
Mm-hmm.
And like that transferred into her message about like, this is my body. Like nothing is yours. You didn't do anything to be here.
Right.
You didn't control it. You didn't say, I will now be born on planet Earth and
Right.
everything is mine. Like that concept was just really interesting to me, that it's like,
No
you're not your own.
No
Like,
one looks at it that way.
You're not.
No one ever has the reverence to say like, wait, I didn't make myself
do this.
come here and make it so that I live every day and don't die from a disease or like don't
drop dead of a brain
you know what I'm
aneurysm
saying?
tomorrow. You know,
Yeah,
like
no
anything
one
can happen.
Or get into a car accident, be
Yeah.
paralyzed.
Right.
Now you can't move, you know.
Right. You can't use your body
can't.
to get rich and famous. Like there's a line in the song where she talks about like, was that the song or was that the diss record? Either one. One of the songs she just put out, she puts a line in there about how like, you know, you talk about me while you watch my videos jerking off. You know what I mean? Just like,
Wow.
literally like leaning into that idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, she knows everything she's about. You know,
Right.
that whole video, she's literally, we're talking about her outfit in that video is like one of those sadomasochistic outfits where it's like she's fully covered, even her face is covered, only her mouth is out. You know what I mean? Like her
And
eyes
everything
are,
else is covered in
everything is
mesh,
completely
you
covered
know?
in mesh. Like, you know,
But that like hit me today, like watching that monologue and how it was portrayed and how like I have control and this is mine and this
Right.
is mine and this is mine. Like if it is yours, yikes. You know what I'm saying? Like you got squandered opportunities and you swear that like it's good because you're making
Yeah.
a lot of money and you have a lot of attention, but like there's repercussions to that. You know,
Yeah.
it's not just
False
all
prophet.
right.
all fun
and now
games.
she's a false prophet for that idea because
Right.
now other young girls come up
like
and,
this cute.
Yeah, this is what we do. Oh, as soon as you get 5
The
stacks,
dance
you
is
go get some boobs.
There's a choreography.
You
The
know what I
dance was
mean?
choreographed for TikTok
Right.
from that song.
Right,
And I'm
right.
like, oh no, let's just shut off the internet now.
Yeah.
So it's literally false prophet, false value. What do you put your value to?
What are you profiting
What
from?
are you profiting from? How are you profiting?
Right.
And that's what you put your worth to. And that's what my point is that it's not about the people. It's not about Carl Lentz. It's about covering these people. You know what I mean? Like, of course you got to show the error. You got to show, but at the same time, what is the church really?
Right.
The church really is about bringing the light so that people can see the darkness. If you can't, there's in Hebrews it talks about being full grown, right? Not being on milk, but being full grown.
Right.
And at the end it says, so you're able to judge rightly, but it's through exercise of your senses. Those are spiritual senses that you don't have if you don't submit to spiritual things,
Right.
right? And not fleshly things, which has to do with our desires and our wants that are connected to profit,
Right.
you know, that are connected to what we value in our life. You know, I might value or I might desire something that's not necessarily good for me.
Right.
That's a child.
Right.
So the more I'm connected to what true worth is in Christ, I start to discern good from evil.
And you become full grown.
And you become full grown.
You exercise that, and now you're able to judge rightly.
Right. And so the whole point of the church is to be that judging system on the earth, not to judge people to condemn them, but to judge people, to justify them.
Right.
It's really about showing them the lies so that they can come into the truth. Because if the light's there, what does it expose? It exposes the darkness. It exposes the lies, right? So the truth, the light is connected to the truth, and then we can see rightly, and then we can shift. That brings fear, right? We fear because we realize, oh wow, but there's grace here, right? Because God doesn't want to condemn you, but He wants you to judge yourself. You know, that's why the light comes, the day breaks, and now you realize you're fearful, you mourn. You know what I mean? It's in a state of mourning because you realize how bad you were going the other way, and now you can shift your perspective. You can shift the way you were going and reverence the house that you were running from because you saw it in the wrong way. Now, what do? Now you raise up those foundations, right? And that's what the church is supposed to be. Justice for people so people can see the error of their ways so that they can move. That's what real love is about. So now we're talking about perfect love cast out all fear. See, I'm running with anxiety. You know, I didn't really get into it, but the whole serpent thing, the seraph, that's about burning. It's about what happens with a python. It seduces, it comes in slowly, and then it wraps around you, right? And then it suffocates you. It's the same thing with fire. It takes all the oxygen out of the air, right? It takes all the breath out of the air. It suffocates you, right? It suffocates you with the smoke. And most people die not from the fire, but from suffocation, right? From their lungs being filled with the smoke. So the point is that we'll be suffocated by that false desire. You know what I mean? If we don't allow God to suffocate that. Right. Because then the true light comes, the true fire comes, and it burns up that false fire and it suffocates that. And when you look at like anxiety, it's literally when the manifestation of anxiety comes, you can't breathe. Right. You have issues trying to catch your breath. You know, so what's happening? You're in fear because you have no direction in your life.
That's extreme fear, right?
It can hit you at any moment. It's realizing you have no control, right? It suffocates you.
Yeah, you come in a place where you really feel like you don't have control. Jordan said the only human whose body yada yada was actually theirs. I added that part. Was Jesus, and look what He did with His body.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and that's the order. So Hebrews, it talks about, you know, being full grown, but before that it talks about the order of Melchizedek. And the order of Melchizedek has to do with humbling ourselves. And Melchizedek, after the order of Melchizedek, what does Melchizedek mean? It's the king. He's the king of righteousness, the king of Salem or Salam, Jerusalem, right? Salam means peace. So you can't have peace until you have righteousness. You can't have righteousness, right? What does means being right? It means right standing until you humble yourself, right? From all. So he literally became the king of righteousness by humbling himself. And it literally says in there that he, in his flesh, right? In his flesh, he had to die. He had to cry out to God in all his pressure, all the immense pressure that was upon him. He felt it. He had to cry out and wail to God in all his mourning for the things that he felt to learn obedience, right? And this has to do with the king of Melchizedek. And then it says something that I can't really go into with you because I got to go back and teach you the foundational things or the principal things, right? Because he's speaking to the Hebrews who have an issue with trying to go back to religious ways, right? Being stuck under the law, trying to do things to feel like they're saved, right? So it's like, that's why morals and values really won't do anything for you if you don't find the love, the meaning behind those morals and values.
So interesting to me that like we are very much in a society that like, you know, like focuses for a good at least up front, like people are focused on like morals, right? And like values and like what's right, especially right now, like what's right and what's wrong, that's right and that's wrong. But how that's so like disconnected, like even having conversations with people who are like, well, I think when we die, we just go into the ground and then it's lights out. But, you know, there's good people and bad people. Like, well, why? You know, like, what are you talking about? Even to have that premise, like, well, there's good people and bad people, like that, in my opinion, that's incorrect. Right. But if there were, like, well, if we just go into the ground and die, then what is the reason that we can't just all be out here, like, shanking each other and everyone like, well, Jerry got shanked, moving on. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's death and destruction and violence. We have visceral reactions to that. There's stuff built into us that says, no, you know, like, you can't take that away from a bigger picture. Like, where does that come from? How do you have morals and values and principles, but then say like, but they didn't come from anywhere. We're just, that's what we do. Like, that makes no sense to me, to kind of just completely remove God from that equation. Like, how do you just take them out? Like,
and
he
you
didn't
can't
exist.
you can't just inherently equate that with nature, because no other species on the planet lives by that code.
No murder, we're lions.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, they have laws that they live by, and they have instincts as animals that they live by. And, you know, there is no good or bad for them. You know what I mean? It's just survival. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever that that could turn into them coming in your house and eating you. You know what I mean?
You know how many movies that we watch, and because people are killing people and you know, doing horrible things to people, but we'll cheer for them because we think it's just.
Good guy. Yeah.
We think it's justified. And a lot of times it's so horrible. You know what I mean?
That's why
it's so twisted.
I've seen a lot of people like do these inversions where they make the case for every movie that like the good guy's actually the bad guy.
Okay.
And when you spin it in, it shows you how like
It's all very subjective.
yeah, it's all like you're being brainwashed to root for this person. Like, that's how the storyline is laid out for you to feel like this is they call it a protagonist. Same thing, Karate Kid, Star Wars. I mean, I've seen it, Matrix. I've seen like all these movies broken down in the opposite way, where it's like they're actually the bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but how do they make you sympathize with the person? You get to know them.
Yeah.
You get to know their character.
Yeah.
Right? And you're drawn in. How do they keep you from not liking somebody? You don't really know. They keep it vague. You know, that's what they do.
Here's
they
the
make
bad
you
things
familiar
you
with
shouldn't
the
like.
character.
Right.
Right? And even if somebody's bad, if they can get you to sympathize with them, oh, well, they're that way because of this thing. Then it's like, okay, well, I'll let that go.
Right,
We do that in our mind. You know?
We'll make an exception for that.
Yeah. But see,
real quick, Peace commented. What's up, Peace?
Hey.
She said, "Preach, Rachel. No such thing as subjective morality." Yeah. Go ahead, Jake.
But that's right. That's where we are as a society. It's like what I feel is right to me.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
but how do you make like laws off of that, bro?
No, you can't. Because
Now
my
what?
version of what is right and your version of what is right.
Two completely different things.
But when you have the media pushing that, people can say, "See,
makes sense.
Yeah.
People can say not just through the media, but all realms. You know, like again, education, medical industry,
Right.
All these different industries. They have these experts pushing these things, and it's like, oh yeah, but what are they? False prophets for profit.
Right.
It's all for profit. You know, it doesn't. They're accurate in their own eyes.
That should be a T-shirt.
False prophet for profit.
False prophet for.
Some Young Lion t-shirts. We've been talking about this for a year now.
Yeah.
We gotta make it happen.
Yeah.
So it's accurate, right? They're prophesying or prophesying, right?
Yeah.
But like, what I'm trying to say is that they're casting an image that there's people
broadcast.
Right, broadcasting. They're casting an image for people because people want it because they're already
it's literally a spell.
And they already are blind. You know, so it's like, help me to see, give me some type of comfort so I know that my life isn't gonna be
Right.
destroyed. When really it's just a way to gather people to a crushing, a huge. It's like a false. What's it called? Like a harvest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're literally harvesting people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Dude, that's crazy. Yeah. It's hurting. It's hurting, man. I'm
For
telling you.
for slaughter.
Right. For the slaughter.
Yeah.
Dude, we were talking about Columbia earlier. District of Columbia broadcast system. First broadcast system, first radio station.
Wow.
Was CBS. What's their symbol?
Aye.
Illuminati confirmed. Let's go. You know what I mean? But it's real. Like they were set up as a way, and I mean there's CIA papers on this. They were set up in a way to be used as a way to keep one mindset as the mainstream, thought process, mainstream media, one stream of consciousness.
And they push it.
Push it. P. Ike said, virtue signaling is the direct product of subjective morality. Yes.
Yeah.
Virtue signaling.
And to use that word, virtue signaling, what is that? That's literally pressure from society.
Right.
So it's just based off of principality rule.
It's proving yourself to be virtuous in a false way.
Right. It's just like, you're false humbling yourself.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's false humility.
Right.
Like, oh, he's really humble.
Yeah.
And that's like not good. Like that's like one of the bad. Like I'm just thinking about like it's not good. I'm thinking about like on a deeper level though, right? Like if you take it back to like all of the historical texts, like that's the stuff that like Jesus would be like, you the worst because you're lying on top of lies. You know what I'm saying? You're not true, and then you're out here saying you are true. Like you double whammying folks on your fake.
When you look in the Bible, when it talks about those that tell everyone they're fasting, or those that like the long prayers and outside preaching in front of people or praying in front of people, that's virtue signaling. That's what he was talking about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because you want to show everyone how holy you are.
Yeah,
but meanwhile your insides,
right? Like why are we talking about all this? It's not to say Hillsong is horrible. It's not to say the people are of Hillsong, or even like, it's not to say media. Like, it's to say, what are you looking at? Humble yourself, because that's what we're doing. Like, we don't have all the answers. We're just seeing some stuff and knowing I need to humble myself. I need to seek the one who has it, so that I can not be a part of this system.
Right.
The only reason why we see it is because we're humble in ourselves.
Right.
Right.
And it's not something that we always saw. It's like we're speaking about these things because these are things that we were under the spell of. Yeah. And there's more things that we're constantly being
uncovering.
Yeah.
Right. But the more you exercise your senses,
the deeper
you're
you
able
go.
to discern good from evil. You're able to judge. You're able to decide. That word, like judge, decide.
Right.
And you don't want to, because that judgment gets a bad rap.
Right.
It's like if you're judging somebody, then you're condemning. No, if you're judging somebody, you can justify somebody.
Right.
Because all you got to do is when you make a judgment, you say, this is not good. This is good. This is evil. This is good. You can choose good now because you see it.
Right.
But you can still choose evil.
Right. Yeah.
So who's really judging? You're judging yourself.
Right.
And that's what people got to understand. Like, what God wants to do is make it plain for you. And he literally said it. I put before you life and death. Choose life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're here to do. We're here to just shed light on what we see.
Mm-hmm.
Shed light where we see. There's more we need to see.
Yep.
One more thing. There was one more thing on Hillsong that I wanted to go with, and this has to do with like the leader, Brian Houston.
Okay.
I put that up there. It says like sex issues. I don't know.
Yep. Say it.
Okay. So if we can, I think it's like the second paragraph in there. I think it starts with like him. And if you want to read that, Jamie.
Brian Houston, senior pastor of Hillsong Church. It can be challenging for churches to stay relevant because many mainstream churches upheld what they would believe is the long-established view of what the Bible says about homosexuality. But the world has changed around and about them. On the subject, I always feel like there's three things. There's the world we live in, there's the weight we live in, What? And
Live with the weight we
oh,
live
the
with.
weight we live with. And there's the word we live by. The world, the weight, and the word.
It sounds like some ghost written.
It sounds like
That's
some
prepackaged.
It sounds like some serpent stuff,
That's
right?
some prepackaged PR team. You know what I'm saying?
Keep it up though, John, because we got.
So keep
deeper.
going?
Yeah, keep going.
All right. And to me, the world we live in, whether we like it or not, is changing around and about us. Homosexual marriage is legal in New York City and will probably be in most Western world countries within a short time. So the world's changing, and we want to stay relevant as a church. So that's the vexing thing. You think, how do we not become a pariah? So that's the world we live in.
See that? Like, you want to stay relevant.
Stay relevant.
What's now the next part?
Then the weight we live in, weight we live with is the reality that in the church, in churches like ours and virtually any other church, there are young people who have serious questions about their sexuality and who may be hypothetically speak to youth pastors and say, I think, I'm gay. And maybe they feel a sense of rejection there, or maybe even their own Christian parents can't handle it and exclude them all the time when they are most vulnerable in their life. So you can have churches, not just our church, but churches, young people who are depressed, maybe even suicidal, and sadly oftentimes grow up to hate the church because they feel that the church rejected them.
Now, I just want to say, like, a lot of this is true.
Right.
But that's the wizardry of it.
Right.
A lot of this is true, what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
But see, that's what the serpent does. The serpent gives you a bunch of truth and then just slides in a little bit of the lie.
Right.
So
the church rejected them, so there's the world we live in, the weight we live with, and then the word we live by. The word we live by is what the Bible says, and it would be so much easier.
So, okay, hold on. The Bible says is up to interpretation.
Right.
The Bible says has to be interpreted by the Spirit that breathes life on it. So you can't just read the Bible and breathe your own life to it.
Right.
That's one. The weight of a thing, right? That's the other thing he said. The weight of the thing is what's on you because of what's going on in the world.
Right. And what the repercussions could be to the youth because of how they feel about.
Right. So that's the weight of the thing. But how do we deal with that? I don't know how to deal with that.
Right.
I got to give that to the one who was crushed for our iniquities.
Right.
That's the weight of a thing. Mm-hmm. So if I'm trying to take on the weight of a thing, I'm taking on something that's over my pay grade. Mm-hmm. It's over my cost. I didn't pay that cost. He did.
Right.
So why am I trying to take on a cost that I have no business even trying to pay for? Because I can't pay for it. He paid for it. So you can't, that's the wizardry of it. You're trying to justify your stance and where you stand on something when you don't let the one who dealt with it deal with it. Mm-hmm. That's pride.
Right.
It's literally pride, and it's literally you holding on to the way you want to do it, and taking on the weight of a thing that he was supposed to take on. And then let's keep on going, because then he gets into Carl Lentz, which is like,
okay, real quick,
funny.
just Paul said, as in the days of Noah, ...
Yeah.
The word we live by is what the Bible says. And it would be much easier if you could feel like all of those three just easily lined up, but they don't necessarily. And that's what Carl Lentz always says for us. It's a conversation. For us, it's easy to reduce what you think about homosexuality to just a public statement, and that would keep a lot of people happy. But we feel at this point it's an ongoing conversation, that the real issues in people's lives are too important for us to just reduce it down to a yes or no answer in a media outlet. So we're on the journey with it, aren't we?
Bam. Media outlet.
Right.
Literally. So what is he combating? The church.
Right.
And the way they want you, because that's not good either.
Right.
They want you to say, yes, it's bad.
Right.
And then that's it, right? But he's saying we can't just do that, which I get. But
because that even Jesus, when he was trying to he knew when they were trying to, because a lot of times these media outlets are doing that to trap you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because they know that that's a hot talk. It's a contention topic.
You're judgers. You're bad.
So they're asking
everyone.
you that to get you to answer it, because either way, it's going to be controversial and it's going to make for them good content.
On the other side, it's the Pharisees, and they want you to say, what they are upholding to. So
Right.
it's a pressure on both sides,
Right,
right?
right.
It's a pressure from the media, but so it's like, okay, how can we script this in a way where we're not really moving?
Right.
We're slithering
Right.
in both ways.
Right.
You know,
Making everybody
like,
happy. here.
everybody happy,
Right,
and
right.
that's the problem. Because you know what doesn't change? That serpent don't come out of the house.
Right.
That serpent is still in the house, and what doesn't change is the abuse. Because the serpent wants to take the breath out of you. It's not going to happen right away. It happens little by little by little. That python, how the heck is a python just going to come around you? It does it when you're sleeping. It does it when you're not paying attention. Little by little, it's going to come around you, and then it squeezes the life out of you. You know what I mean? It's not like it just, it happens quick. No, it's a slow process. And that's what what these type of people don't get, because they're trying to play both sides. They're trying to play a game that is they're going to be played. You know, they're going to be played, and that's not what God wants.
Right.
Let your yes be yes and your no be
Right.
no.
No double-mindedness.
No double-mindededness.
Yeah.
You know, because you're playing one side because of the weight. Like it's literally, he says it out of his mouth, all these things,
Right.
and he literally shows where he stands on everything. He doesn't stand for anything. So then you have a Carl Lentz where he quotes, it's a conversation because you don't stand for anything, right? And then what happens? Now you go after what you have desired, a woman who doesn't stand for anything, right? Everything's it's just magical. It's just out in the world. Like there's no grounding. When I say you don't stand for anything, I mean, what are you grounded on?
Right.
We're supposed to be grounded on the apostles and prophets, Christ being the cornerstone, right?
Yep.
But where's our foundation? Our foundation has to be on that, but how do we get rooted on that, or how do we get set on the rock? We have to humble ourselves, or the rock's going to humble us. We're going to stumble. You know what I mean? And I think that's the key to this whole thing in the church, is that we lost our first love in terms of like, we need to let go of our own life, or else that life is going to try to rise up.
Right.
That dead thing is, baptism is a symbol of death, though, of the old life, but that dead thing wants to rise. You know, and it's going to rise if we don't let it die.
Yeah. Let it die. Yeah. Lay down that line.
Yeah. So yeah, man, that's it from that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, that was good, man. That was good. You want to do a little bit of the song?
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, we'll wrap it up. Let me see something real quick.
Lay down that line.
So while Jamie's doing that, let me see. And it's not the Little Plymouth Rock either. What's that mean?
Probably talking about the rock and foundation.
Oh, okay.
What's that?
You got your puns, Paul Horner.
That's Paul.
Exactly. It's not the Plymouth Rock, but it is the Plymouth Rock.
Right.
It's funny.
Break down what Plymouth means again.
Plum mouth rock. So what is precious coming out of the mouth, which is the rock. Out of the Puritans, the people who are pure.
All right, so talk about what we're about to do. What song we're about to do.
So what are we doing? Gold?
Yeah.
So this song is called Gold, and it speaks to a desire that is not necessarily good. But if we continue to seek after the real thing, we're eventually going to find it. And that's what's truly worth something. And it speaks to us because we were on this journey in music and where we were searching for something, but we didn't necessarily know exactly what we were searching for, but it was always there along the way. And we kept running into it until eventually it smacked us in our face, you know. But we had to dig deep for it. And we had to search for it. and we had to, even when we found it, we had to search more. And it's a continual thing. Even now, we search and we dig deeper, and we find true worth, we find true meaning, we find true intent, we find true heart, we find true love. And that's what this is about. We find true profit.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to play this.
Hey. Yeah. Yeah. I was searching to feel a hunger that was crippling me. The more that I took, the more that I lacked, the more that I learned, the more I saw black. Oh, I was searching to feel a hunger that was crippling me. The more that I took, the more that I lacked, the more that I learned, the more I saw black, and nothing would satisfy me. Oh no, nothing could make this emptiness leave. But I dug deeper, though it got darker down. Oh, I thought I'd never find a thing. Then I found gold, and it was good to my soul. I found gold, oh, and it was precious to hold. Yeah, I found gold, gold, gold. So when you look upon me, you stare with innocent eyes. Don't believe what you see in the praise of your life. The brilliance will leave anyone oblivious and blind, consumed with consolation, leaving the prize behind. But don't let it go that easy. Oh no, don't hesitate to get past what you won't see. 'Cause there is profit in the places most of us are too afraid to go. Where I found gold was good for my soul. I found gold was precious to hold. Yeah, I found gold, yeah. Whoa, hey. Oh, yeah, yeah, na, na, yes, yeah, na. Oh, ra, oh, sa, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, ba, say, yeah, oh, say. Oh, yeah, 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 yes, yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yes, yeah. Okay, okay. Maria, yeah, na, na, yes, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah, yeah, yes, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yes, yeah. Oh, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, say, yeah, yes. Oh, say, yeah, yes. Oh, say, yeah, yeah. I found gold, gold, gold.
We had no idea how we were going to end. Like, we never even talked about what was going to happen after that second hook. All right, guys. We appreciate everybody who stayed on with us this evening. That was a good one. Appreciate all of the comments, all of the chiming in, all of the jokes. We love you guys. Thanks for watching every week. Thanks to Rachel for sitting in. John holding it down.
What's up?
Everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We hope you guys eat some great food and enjoy your families and really take time to be thankful and realize like what this means, what this time is for, what this means for this nation. And everybody just, be in prayer, be encouraged, and realize that God is in control no matter what. In the meantime, if you want to support, you can go to our Patreon. You can become a member over there. You can go to our website, jatan.com, get music. The Patreon is patreon.com/YoungLionTV. And also subscribe on the YouTube channel, Young Lion TV on YouTube. And, hit the like button, hit the share button, all that good stuff.
Shout out to Peace. Shout out to Melanie. Shout out to Jordan. Shout out to Paul Horner. Just people who have been posting.
Jordan, I need you here to play these guitar parts, man. I need your help, brother. But yeah, we appreciate all of y'all. Shout out to everybody. Yeah, people that have been like riding on this podcast from day one. Ariana, Kathleen, Style, like all those people.
We love you guys.
We love you guys, and we hope to see you guys next week. We're out of here.
Young Lion, go live, yeah. Young Lion, you rich, yeah. This kingdom has room, yeah. Go and fight people in, ooh.